So, when you talk about victims, I really want you to know that we all share the grief and we all share the responsibility to push on our provinces and territories to do better on all of our behalfs in partnership with the work that we're doing today. Mr. Speaker, I just want to say that I find it actually really distressing that we're going to weaponize grief in this room.
Let's see what's happening in the House of Commons right now. Clown circus at the sausage factory. Let's go.
The 5 minutes for the rest.
All right, gang. Aaron here, Canadian Looney. Like, share, subscribe. We've got a great episode here. It's going to be, I try to keep it light here in the beginning, but we're jumping into the deep end right away. This committee meeting, we've got some shocking testimony from witnesses, and then we'll get into it. This is amazing to watch. Thank you all for tuning in. We're going to get right to question period, right into on time. No doubt about that. But first, we've got these pieces to watch. It breaks my heart. I'm probably going to cry on here today.
Welcome. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members of the committee. My name is Jackie Cobb, and I'm here to speak on behalf of my 23-year-old daughter, Madison Cobb, whose life was brutally taken away from her by her ex-boyfriend on July 19, 2025, in a parkade in Calgary. Before Madison could get into her car to come home to her family, she was gunned down by her ex-boyfriend, leaving her dead at the scene. I'm thinking of my Maddie. Think of your own daughter, or sister, or niece. Now picture them left to bleed to death, with no one there to help them. Imagine their fear. My Maddie was a bright, passionate, respectful, cheery, and accomplished young lady. She excelled academically, was a competitive swimmer, and had just begun a promising career as a surgical eye assistant at LASIK MD. Her life was full of potential. Madison deeply impacted and connected with people. She was on a mission to save individuals who needed saving, even if it was just helping, guiding, or just being a friend for those who didn't have one. She was always there when called upon, always lending a hand and never complaining to help others. She was a girl with strong family values, was a best friend, and always saw the bigger picture in life. She was an old soul, acting beyond her years. She cared about people, something most of us have lost throughout the years. Although she is no longer with us, today Madison continues to try to help others. By my appearing before you, I represent her desire to find justice in a system that failed her when she needed it the most. My Maddie followed every legal avenue to ensure her safety. A restraining order was granted on June 10, 2025, against her offender, who also had 2 criminal harassment charges against him for stalking her, and was released on bail on June 10th and June 17th. He was known to have a firearm in his possession as well. The restraining order did not do its job. It was a piece of paper with meaningless words. The judge knew about the criminal harassment charges and the known firearm when Madison was finally granted the restraining order, yet nothing stopped him from walking out the court, free to plan and carry out this horrific act. Madison deserved to live without fear. She was not protected by the system. Madison became a victim of a violent crime and paid the ultimate price. This was not a moment of anger. Every action was calculated. He stalked her, he waited for her, and he executed his plan. The nature of this deliberate act should automatically remove any possibility of bail or leniency. He chose to take her life. He should be held accountable. I stand here before you on behalf of Maddie and the thousands of women and men who have been impacted by domestic violence. Maddie is not the first person to suffer at the hands of the legal system, and she will not be the last, unless a stand is taken to change the current system. Please, I urge Parliament to enact stronger consequences for the repeat offenders and those who breach protective orders. Early intervention, such as mandatory evaluations and monitoring the offenders, this could prevent escalation and save lives. We must prioritize the right to live a life protected by law in safety from such criminals. How many innocent people need to die, like my young daughter Madison, for legislation to change? We all know the law is broken. We hear legislation might change, but it never does. Parliament has the knowledge, the power, and the authority to make the necessary changes to implement stronger sentencing now, before more innocent lives are taken. The system needs to change. Why are we so forgiving and give the offenders so many chances? The criminals know our system and its loopholes, and they are taking advantage of it. Please protect the innocent. Criminals should not have the same rights as you and I. My life has changed forever. I will never see my child walk through that front door with her incredible smile, knowing she is safe. I can't kiss her goodnight, say I love you, or call her when something is exciting. I won't have the joy of seeing her walk down the aisle or having kids of her own. All I have left are photos and videos to help her remember every detail of her appearance and listen to her voice on tape so I can hear how she spoke my name. I hold her clothes so tight so I can remember how she smelled, and I hum her favorite song in my head all the time because I don't hear it blaring from her room any longer. Now I have to look at an empty chair at my dining room table where she sat when we ate. I walk past her room with a constant sadness of the good times we shared in that room. There will be no more treasured family vacations we love taking together. Now I have a constant worry. My family will fall apart because of this crime, like so many other families have. I stand here today to advocate for change, so no other family endures this pain. You never think it will happen to you until it does. You can make the difference. Hold them accountable on their first offense, so this tragedy won't become your nightmare as I am living for the rest of my life. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Basil Cobb, and your courage in testifying today. We will go directly to Ms. Alexander and then to Mr. Broadfoot.
Love you, honey. Thank you to the members of the committee. I want to begin by commending you on what has clearly been a tremendous success, a justice system so efficient, so protective, and so flawlessly designed that victims and survivors across this country have nothing to fear. And I honestly don't think that we need to be here today, so we might as well just go home. But we can't go home, because none of the aforementioned is remotely accurate or truly reflective of the graveyard of preventable deaths that Canada has become. My name is Kate Alexander. I'm a model, actress, artist, and founder of End Violence Everywhere, a registered charity in Canada serving survivors of intimate partner violence, sexual assault, and gender-based violence. On July 31st, 2021, I was nearly killed by my former partner in Leaside in Toronto. Despite the severity of the attack, having photo and video evidence of him nearly beating me to death, despite the tactical team coming to my home, despite 8 charges he faced, he was released on bail almost immediately for $500, and I've never even had a criminal trial for my attempted murder because all 8 of his charges timed out under Jordan's rule. I don't even have a peace bond because it expired. I lived in hiding for months after the attack before being forced to move to the United States. And had I not left Canada, he probably would have been successful in his quest to end my life. He nearly did that to the woman he dated after me, and I found out the one before me as well. The scariest part is my experience is not unique. It is common in Canada. Abuse is happening to women, children, and yes, men as well, every single day in this country without consequence. At my organization, we serve these survivors that we call the experts because they are the experts of these issues, their experience, and the horrors of not having a functional justice system. If you have not engaged with the system nor read the entirety of the Criminal Code of Canada, I would not call you an expert, regardless of your parliamentary title. We, the experts, call it the injustice system, and we live the damage that it does every single day. A most recent example is of a club promoter, Mark Holland, who notoriously has sexually assaulted dozens and dozens of women spanning generations. He is on the registered sex offender list, and this past August was released on bail for more sexual assault charges as free in the community once again. I met Mark when I was 18 years old outside of a nightclub on King Street West in Toronto, and something in my gut told me to stay away from him. My instinct was beyond accurate. Over the last decades, I have watched Mark Holland harm 8 of my friends and brutalize dozens and dozens of other young girls with impunity, and he's out on bail again. I have seen hospitality groups and clubs continue to hire him despite knowing what he does. I have seen him breach conditions repeatedly and still remain free. still working in nightlife venues, still hunting victims, still protected by systemic gaps that enable serial predators. It's almost as if the government wants this. Our team at EVE is supporting hundreds of survivors, and we receive thousands of disclosures online and directly through our advocacy channels. These are not fringe cases, these are Canadians, primarily women and children who are unsafe in their homes, unsafe in their communities, and unsafe because the system that is supposed to protect them protects the abusers. The charter rights of criminals appear to outweigh the charter rights of victims. We are supporting survivors who sleep with bags packed by the door. We are supporting survivors who relocate provinces because their abuser was released. We are supporting survivors who have been told directly that the system cannot help them until something worse happens, until the blood is drawn. And even then, in those instances, as I know from personal experience, it's not enough. The only time it seems to be enough is when she's buried. We have to die, and then you care. Sort of. Dozens have been killed recently by partners who were released on bail despite clear histories of violence. Two of the parents of these women are testifying today, my friend, Jackie Cobbs and Brett Broadfoot, and it is my honor to call them my friends, but I wish I didn't have to meet them because their daughters were murdered in preventable death simply because the government doesn't have good policy and doesn't care. Don't tell me that you do care like you did, James Maloney, on October 28, 2024, when we met under former Minister of Justice Arif's reign. You promised me you would see our pleadings through. You promised me that having a family of lawyers helped you understand firsthand what we go through. You promised me that you cared, and you promised me that you would do something about the horrors of the Canadian criminal system. And I left your office that day hopeful. How stupid of me. You never called me again.
Ms. Alexander, your time is up.
All right, then leave it right there.
Thank you. Mr. Broadfoot, over to you for 5 minutes, please.
Good evening, committee. Thank
You guys just saw what Mark Miller did. They have time to speak, and he cut her off. James Maloney is sitting in a chair, Jabba the Hutt sitting right there. This is embarrassing. It doesn't get easy.
you for having me here this evening. Again, my name is Brett Broadfoot, and I'm here to speak for my family, and most importantly, for my beautiful and now deceased daughter, Brianna. I hope also to speak on behalf of other victims of intimate partner violence. For all the women who continue to live in fear of their abusers because they are still out on the streets after being charged, with no accountability for their violent acts they have committed. I would like to share my family's personal experience at this time. On March 15th of 2024, my daughter Brianna was brutally attacked by her boyfriend. She was left with 2 black eyes, a fractured orbital bone, several other broken bones in her cheeks, and severe bruising around her neck from his hands having been wrapped around them in strangulation. She was only 16 years old at the time. Her attacker, aged 18, was arrested on March 15th and charged with assault plus assault with choking and suffocation or strangulation. He was released from custody on the same day he was arrested. He was sent, after being scheduled to attend court again on July 31st, 2024. He was sent with orders to not communicate, or go near my daughter, as well as refrain from possessing any weapons. We couldn't believe he was released, just allowed to continue as if nothing happened, while Brianna remained in the hospital struggling to recover from the injuries he had inflicted upon her. Our family felt that we had zero help or support during this time. We were set to sit alone with the knowledge that our attacker was just out there, unmonitored and unchallenged, ready to assault again whenever he wanted. Unfortunately, that thought came true. On July 16th, 2024, Brianna, now 17, was attacked again by the same individual, but this time in a much more serious way. At approximately 1 a.m. on July 17th, we were woken by the sound of a police sergeant knocking on our home door. We were told that our daughter had been taken to the critical care trauma unit at Victoria Hospital with multiple stab wounds. We were told that the same individual had abused her again. Brianna fought as hard as she could, but unfortunately passed away from her injuries on July 18th, 2024. We lost our baby girl. Our worlds have changed forever. To this day, I truly feel that Brianna could and should, could and should still be with us if her abuser had not been released after the original attack, or at least monitored. Our system completely failed us, just as it has failed so many others in the past. We need to stop the catch and release of arrested abusers now. Granting immediate freedom to an individual who has violently assaulted and hospitalized a defenseless young girl or woman is incomprehensible to me. The strangulation charge needs to be taken more seriously. It's holding someone's life in their hands. Letting them breathe or not breathe. Think about that. This is a high-risk factor that should make someone be considered a violent offender. How is it not? Our system allows offenders to exist, completely unmonitored, as if nothing has happened. Survivors are forced to live in constant fear of being abused again by the same man. This is not right. I know we can do better. Let's work together to be part of the solution that stops this violence. Please take our heads out of the sand and make change now. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Broadfoot. We will now turn to Ms.
He didn't have to cut him off, at least. Mark Miller is as low as a politician can possibly be. He is disgusting in every way.
Wambach from the Canadian Crime Victim Foundation, she's online. I'll just give it a few seconds for Lausanne for you to start speaking, but if we do hear you, then please proceed. You have 5 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you for... You'll need to turn your camera on if possible, Ms. Wambach.
Oh, sorry. I'm new at this, so...
So am I.
Hopefully... no, for some reason it's... Oh, okay.
Yeah, we
there
see
you. Go.
Please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you for inviting me here to speak about this very important issue. The entire court process is huge, causes huge stress and re-victimization.
And Miller does go rancid on this poor witness. Listen to her testimony. It's crazy. Mark Miller has no heart, no soul.
For the victims and or the family members who are also very greatly affected and can be considered as victims as well. From lies told by the defense about the defense lawyers in court about the victim with impunity, to the victim service, which a lot of victims tell me make matters worse. And in our case, they didn't even offer to help us. We didn't get any help from them. And finally, and the terrible, terrible legislation around bail, parole, and sentencing. Offenders are let out on bail, receiving life sentences, and then out on parole, often to reoffend. Because after all, there's not enough parole officers to watch them. So what does that say about the value of the lost or compromised life? Well, the victim has no importance, no value, is disregarded, and is lost and alone. In our case, the 3 offenders were out on bail for 4 years before they were in court. The one who kicked my beautiful blue-eyed boy's head like a football into brain damage was out in the community wandering around free while we were imprisoned in the hospital. Reoffending with impunity, as we found out by reliable word of mouth. After the release from the hospital, I was in constant fear that he would find my son at his new school, which wouldn't have been very difficult, and push him down the stairs or hit him in the head again, at which point he would surely die. I fell into desperate depression and panic attacks, feeling I could not keep Jonathan safe. And I couldn't. I had no control. But much, much worse than that, Jonathan was constantly terrified, having nightmares, night terrors, depression, often yelling that he wished he was dead, frequently suffering from brain injury rages, trying to hit his head against the cement floor in our basement, while Joel, my husband, and myself, we tried to restrain him, holding his head. And then afterwards, my husband slumped into the couch, clutching his chest. And soon after, he developed heart disease, which he suffers from terribly even now. After their short sentence was served, this was all repeated again. Jonathan suffered great emotional stress and saw an irresponsible social worker who used inappropriate therapy, contraindicated for any frontal lobe brain damage, resulting in false memory syndrome, concerning his childhood, causing him to become estranged from us for 11 years now. We are in absolute despair, and none of this would have happened if he wasn't kicked into brain damage. It was because of this crime, because of the attack. Olga Baranovsky, the mother of homicide victim Maddie Baranovsky, told me she was dead inside after the murder of her son, and in fact was found dead in her apartment all alone. Her life was over because of this crime. The victims are the true recipients of the life sentence, not the offenders. They go on with their lives. We don't. We suffer. Insomnia, depression, panic attacks, and other mental health issues. We are lost and alone and in pain. The offenders are let out and continue to receive free psychological support. In fact, the correctional investigator said recently that funding for psychological help for the inmates should be increased. But isn't it funny how there's no mention about the psychological support for victims? By the way, we received no psychological help unless we sought our own, at our own cost, of course. With this legislation, there will be more victims, more families will suffer, and there will be more re-victimization, and it will go on and on and on, affecting more and more people. And in closing, I just want to ask, there's a victims ombudsman in Ottawa. What are they doing? I haven't heard anything. And also another thing I wanted to mention was that it's so easy to find support and funding if you are
Ms. Wambach, your time is complete. Just take a few seconds to conclude if you could, and we'll have plenty of opportunity to ask you more questions.
Okay. So do you want me to just finish what I was saying, or?
Just if you could, in like 15 seconds.
Okay, well, just that the funding for the victim-initiated groups is like very hard to find. And thank you so much again for this opportunity.
So I want you to understand, everyone in this room to understand that and take that and get over your partisan bullshit. Get over it.
I personally find it very confusing how any liberal voter, like, I'm sure you're naive, like, it's okay to be duped. I've been duped. I voted for Trudeau in 2015, believe it or not. So it was a big mistake. I wasn't watching or paying attention then, but I have been paying very close attention since 2023. And let me tell you, these guys don't care about your future. They want your money in their pockets, your future, your kids' future, your grandchildren's futures in their pockets. See what they're doing to Canada with immigration. See what they're doing with housing. Check out what they're doing with our health care. What is better than it was in 2015? Absolutely nothing. It's confusing to me. On a lighter note, my name's Aaron. This is Canadian Looney. I work very hard at this channel, and believe me, I'm not a conservative. I will be voting that way. It seems to be the only way to get out from underneath this liberal conspiracy to destroy our way of being. And if you think like, oh, I don't want to admit that I was fooled or that I was raised liberal, so I'm still a liberal, change it up, because they have no plans for your future except lining their pockets with your tax dollars, laundering that money, spending it in other places. So Mark Carney, Justin Trudeau, all these hack bullshit ministers can get richer on your coin under the guise of being incompetent or negligent. Like, it's not that. They mean to be doing what they're doing, and they're pulling it off. There is no future for Canada under this government. So I watch all the committee meetings. I watch everything that happens in the House of Commons. I also follow the propaganda-driven news of the legacy media that is paid for by this government to dissuade your mind into some kind of trick to think that they're doing it for the benefit of you. It's not for you. Liberal voters, I'm speaking right to you. Please watch the politics, not the news. Like, watch the independents on YouTube. Do anything other than what you're doing, because if you're still being duped and not aware that you're being fooled, that's a huge issue. My name's Aaron. This is Canadian Looney. Like, share, subscribe. I work very hard at this channel. Believe it or not, I spend 12 hours a day, 7 days a week at this, because it takes a lot of time to watch all of the politics. But that is where you get your real information. So I would appreciate your subscription. I know that a lot of people that watch this channel, 60% of the people that watch my channel aren't subscribed. I need you to subscribe. I'd like you to subscribe. I'm asking for that because this stuff is so censored, which is a part of legacy media, that it's hard to get any kind of word out. I know that there's other platforms. Just go to that. I know that a lot of people, liberal voters, watch YouTube, and I'm hoping they'll catch some of this and become informed. Learn a little more, because again, it's not a liberal conservative thing. It's an evil versus good thing. I'm not a conservative. Like, I will be voting that way because we need to get out from underneath this elephant that keeps squashing us. It's ridiculous. Please like, share, subscribe, get notified. Come check out one of our live shows. We cover Canadian federal politics right there, and I think you'd enjoy our chat room. It's the best that I've seen online. That's it, Aaron, Canadian Looney. Like, share, subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video. We're gonna wrap it up right here. Out for now. Thanks for watching.